Hi, it's Maddie. I clicked the wrong button, so it didn't pause it, it ended the video I was making because my mum called me. And so I went to pause it so I could talk to her, and I clicked the wrong button, so I'm going to have to make a part two, which, not going to lie, I'm annoyed at myself. I'm very annoyed at myself. Had to take a minute to breathe and be like, it's okay. It's okay, you clicked the wrong button, but now I have to make a part two and it's thrown me off. Because I was like, oh, I don't need to make a part two, but then I'm like, it just ends abruptly. I'm like, hold on a minute, and then the video ends, and then I'm like, I didn't come back because I pressed the wrong button, and that really annoys me. Because I recently found out you can pause webcam videos and then resume them, but I pressed the wrong button and ended the entire video, and I'm like, brilliant. But okay, this is, oh great, now my Chromebook's glitching out. Okay. As I was saying, I had to watch the little end part because I can't remember what I was saying, but as I was saying in part one, if you haven't watched that already, please go and watch that, or this video will not make sense because it's a part two, because as I just explained, I pressed the wrong button and I ended the video before it was ready to be ended. So, as I was saying in part one, if you've not watched that already, I'll give you a second to pause this and find it. I'll leave a link in my description. But good, you watched it? Welcome back. Anyways, so as I was saying, I had to stop saying in my, like, at the end of my Instagram post, like, I will like message people in my DMs, because people started to not respect my boundaries as a not respect my boundaries, and the boundary of, you may know my content and watch my content, and thank you so much, and I appreciate the kindness and support, and thank you very, very much, but at the end of the day, I don't want to become, how do I word this nicely, I don't want to become friends. I want to connect with people in the community, don't get me wrong, and it's lovely to have conversations and hear stories and, like, say, I hope you're doing well, like, that's lovely. But trying to find out every detail of my personal life is a boundary that I have to put up and be like, I will share what I want to share, and what I don't share, you don't automatically have a right to. Just because I talk about personal things doesn't automatically mean you get to know every single personal thing about me as a person. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that was a kind way of saying it, because I don't mean it in a mean way, and I'm sure most people watching this can understand what I mean. I appreciate everything, and thank you so much, but at the end of the day, I have to put a boundary up, because also it was making me anxious. I would get so anxious, and it was freaking me out. And I also have been getting comments on my Instagram, I'm pretty sure these are like spammers, of someone being like, a miracle cure for your cerebral palsy, this cures everything, and I was a bit like, you can't cure brain damage, I wish, but at the moment we don't have the science to cure me, and it was kind of like, yeah, I didn't like being told that I could be cured by something, but I'm pretty sure it was just spam people, trying to sell a fake product, being like, this'll fix you. It's a bit like, someone hasn't done their research on cerebral palsy, but yeah, watch a few videos. Plug. But yeah. So yeah, that was also making me uncomfortable, because I didn't know how to respond, really. I think that's something I need to get better at, is learning how to respond and handle stuff like that, because with making content online, you're gonna get stuff like that. You're gonna get people trying to, go past the boundary. You're gonna get that. It's, that's to be expected. I know this about the internet, but I feel like I need to thicken up my skin a little bit in dealing with it, because I am a very anxious person, and I get overwhelmed easily, and I overthink easily, and I get anxious easily, especially in social situations and talking to people. I get very anxious. I always want to say the right thing. I don't want to offend, but at the same time, I have to protect myself, and bear in mind my own well-being and my own mental health. And if I don't feel comfortable with something, I need to learn that it's okay to take a step back and be like, I don't feel comfortable with this, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a way to say it, like obviously if I started attacking people and being like, how dare you, blah, 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 you know, and everyone's allowed their own way of dealing with stuff, but me personally, I don't like confrontation. So I feel like for me it's better to just step back and say, I don't feel comfortable, or even just don't have to explain myself if they've crossed the boundary. I feel like I have a right to just step back. So yeah, I need to learn how to do stuff like that better. I feel like I do appreciate something. I do want to say I do appreciate when people comment their like stories and stuff, like and their like own personal experiences, and I do really appreciate that, and thank you so much for sharing that. You don't have to ever share anything you don't want to, obviously, but the stuff you do share in the comments, and sometimes I don't see them, I'm not ignoring them, I just don't always see them, I don't always get alerted, so I have to sometimes search for them. And I'll be honest, I'm one of those people that sometimes when something's out of sight, it's out of mind. I don't always think to, oh, I need to check my comments. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind sometimes, not in a rude way, it's just how my brain works sometimes. Like if it's not something that is, like if the comment doesn't pop up, for example, in my notifications, I'm not going to go and think to look for it, because in my brain it's not there until I see it, you know? Like the comment doesn't exist because I've not got a notification, you know, so why would I look for something that isn't there? But yeah, but like I was saying, thank you so much for every like lovely comment or like stories I've read, and like personal experiences, and I really appreciate you sharing that. It's always good to learn about another person's perspective on things and learn about new things. I love learning about new things and having awareness and researching. I love all that stuff. I love understanding things better and people better. Like I love understanding that, like, I feel like I'm quite an empathetic person, so I feel like I like knowing where someone is coming from and their perspective on things. I like understanding all of that, and understanding, like, because, for example, a lot of people don't know that cerebral palsy exists until they learn about it. Well, I sometimes don't know that other things exist, obviously, because, yeah, I don't always know that something like a condition exists, so learning about that and learning how that affects a person is interesting, one thing, but also learning where they're coming from and supporting them and supporting their experience, if that makes sense. I love the whole community aspect of, like, because for me, okay, from my own personal experiences, I didn't really meet or know of people with disabilities until in primary school. I knew a fellow student with a disability, and they were in a wheelchair, and that was my first time really seeing somebody else with a disability. And also when I was younger, I didn't even know about my own condition myself that much. I just knew I had cerebral palsy and it affects my legs, and when I was a kid, I didn't understand what cerebral palsy was because I was a child, so I would go, I have cerebral palsy, and make like paw signs with my hands. Oh, looking back, I'm like, but I was a child, and if I think about it, it's quite funny. The child me was going around going, I have cerebral palsy. But so I didn't even know about my own condition for the longest time, or really knew what it meant. I just knew I had cerebral palsy, which meant I had bad legs. And then I learnt more as I got older. When I was at the beginning of secondary school, I started researching it more, and then I met more people with disabilities. I met people with cerebral palsy when I was in college. I met people with cerebral palsy and like other people with cerebral palsy, and that opened my eyes, because like I'd never met anybody else with cerebral palsy up until that point, you know. I'd never met anybody else with what I had. So in a way I felt less alone, and I felt like less of an alien, or alien as I felt like, you know. I felt less isolated. I felt like someone could maybe understand, like, not completely what I'm going through, because at the end of the day, every human being has a different life experience, but we could relate on things, and, you know, and everybody with cerebral palsy has a different experience, obviously, because it's different for everybody, just like every life is different for everybody. But it was nice to be able to relate to someone with a similar experience, or with the same condition I have, because in case you don't know, cerebral palsy is like an umbrella term for a bunch of different conditions that are caused by brain damage to like motor skills, coordination. I feel like I'm missing something. Motor skills, coordination, and it's brain damage that happens before, during, or after, or shortly after birth. So it's an umbrella term for all that kind of stuff. It's brain damage, and obviously everyone's brain damage is going to be different. You know, we're not all going to exactly have the exact same type of brain damage, or the same reasons, or like the same like causes, I mean, or the same experiences or stuff like that. But it was nice to meet somebody else with my condition, you know, and hear their perspective and understand them, you know. And I've actually got a close friend who also has cerebral palsy, and that was nice because, like, we don't have the exact same experience, obviously, but it's nice to be able to relate to someone sometimes. But then also there is a flip side to that, because I sometimes then, like, for example, I might talk bad about myself some days. Like, every human being, I feel like, has bad, well, some days. But anyways, people like talk bad about themselves sometimes, and I can beat myself up sometimes and be like, oh, like, blah, 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 I'm so useless. And then I think, would I say that to my friend? No, I would not, you know. So that sometimes helps, but at the same time it can also make me feel what's the word, I don't know. It can make me feel like bad because I talk bad about cerebral palsy, but I know someone else has cerebral palsy, like, you know what I mean. But I guess that's, like, human beings are very complicated, like, emotions and feelings and opinions, I guess. But yeah, I feel like I've gone on a tangent. This has went from, it's been 3 months since I made a video, and I never thought I'd make a webcam video, to me just talking. But I feel like it's nice because I feel like I would also make more content sometimes if I take out a lot of the extra layer of, like, okay, I've got to export footage, edit, upload, publish. You know, it takes away the extra waiting, because to be honest, I don't always have the time or the patience to sit there at a waiting loading screen, and my technology can be quite flimsy, as I said in part 1, and I might have the motivation and then it dies because of all the technological complications. So I feel like this is a nice way for me to make content sometimes. I won't do it all the time, but sometimes. I mean, I say this and then I'll probably start making more webcam videos, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be honest. It's nice to be back on this channel. I'm not even going to lie to you, it's nice to be back, and I feel like there will be some changes. I feel like every time I come back, this channel has some changes, but I feel like that's okay, you know. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much. Hopefully see you soon. Sorry about the quality and the fact it's on a webcam, but I hope you still enjoyed the video. If you want to, you can follow my Instagram, at Madalada Munden -2. I haven't posted in a while though, I will warn you, but hopefully I'll be back on there at some point. But with the Instagram, I feel like it's just, if I post, I post, and if you interact or support it, then thank you very much. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye guys. Have a lovely day.